I was just telling everybody about my teacher, Kahu Abraham Kawai Awai Amakai Ole Uliama, and his lineage going all the way back to pre-Polynesian Hawaii, before the Polynesian invasion, to the original inhabitants of this place. Some people call them Menehune. I'm not sure that that's who the Menehune are or were, but certainly there's legend of people here previous to invasion. So my teacher also didn't have any Christian conversion in his lineage. Not that there's anything wrong with Christianity, but he didn't have that filter of good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark. Even that is all a Christian filter that's kind of been put over our society. And the way he viewed life was more as a whole. So everything that exists would be a part of your family, your Ohana Nui, the great family. So the grass and the trees and the stars and the ocean, all members of our family. And also inside of us, all of our thoughts and dreams and hopes and fears, emotions, memories, every moment of your life, every sensation that your foot has ever had as it touched the ground, every time your eyes have glanced or darted around, and the impression or image that has come into your consciousness and awareness, even your subconsciousness, these are all members of your family. I was explaining too that in the oral tradition of healing in Hawaii, you would have had one body of knowledge passed down through each family. So if you had a broken bone, you would seek out the family on a certain island that had that knowledge passed down. If you had a pulled muscle or a baby that was breech birth, you would seek out those families that had that information passed down. Kahu had 9 different lineages passing through him, 9 different expertises, bodies of knowledge and information and experience passing through him. That would make him, in my understanding, a kahuna nui, or a great kahuna. So because of this expanse of knowledge that he had, in fact, it was very unusual for that to happen because they didn't like all the power to be in too much in one place. So after Kahu had studied with all his teachers and been with them all at their last breath, in which a certain kind of mana is passed on to the recipient, the elders gathered together and they gathered with him and they asked him, what are you going to do with all this knowledge and information? And he said, I'm going to teach everybody I can find. And they tried to kill him because it wasn't pono, it wasn't in righteousness or balanced to take this deep and sacred knowledge and pass it on to just anybody, especially people outside of the culture. But Kahu averted his own death, and he realized that there was a time coming when all of humanity was going to need this information. And so he decided that that was his calling, that was the best he could do, was to just offer it. So the way that he taught, again because of this expansive knowledge that he had, was really about the manifestation of who we are in this lifetime. It goes back to our subconscious mind and our unconscious mind. And it goes back to our perceptions, where that seed happens between our life force, that which is animating us, and our consciousness, and where we manifest our lives. So the moment that we are able to step forward in a certain direction with our life force, where did that come from? Where did that choice come from? And where did that decision come from? It comes a lot from our assumptions and what we learn growing up. I see a confused look.
No.
Okay.
Not confused. I
Okay.
was processing.
Okay. Okay,
just
good.
thinking about trying to translate it into my own terms.
Right. See, that is a perfect example right now. I made an assumption about your face, and it wasn't true at all. So,
Actually, just to confirm, there was some truth in it because, in my own way, there was moments of confusion as I was translating. So it was a good read.
okay, okay, thanks. I like him. He's very generous. Cool. So yeah, so there are different aspects in the different bodies of knowledge that he came to, but in the end, when I encountered him and the studies that I undertook with him were about this relationship with myself, my own relationship with my life force, and the fact that the Hawaiians believed that everything was in every cell, as well as spirit. So in contrast to us in the West and in modern mind, that would go out and up to God and spirits and the angels, the Hawaiians, the ancients, would have us going deeper and deeper inside our bodies to spirit that lives inside of us, not just in this conceptual idea of spirit, my heart and my love and my, my good intentions, but actually to what is beating your heart right now. What is growing your new skin cells, which you would have lost and replaced 100 million skin cells in the last hour? What is growing your hair right now? What is lubricating your eyeballs? This is just life force. It's the spark of life that nobody can duplicate in a laboratory, as far as I know, yet. I don't think that'll ever happen, but who knows? So what is that? The ancients believed that that was actually, God itself, spirit itself. So the actually reason why we're even able to sit here and breathe and see and function and eat and enjoy each other is because we have spirit running through every cell. All 100 trillion cells right now are animated by that which we generally as a race seek. We're seeking. Why are we here? What is God? Who is God? What are we doing? And that seed of information is lying in our bodies right now. So they would, in the West, we've come to kind of believe that the body is kind of a lesser than, both in the East and the West, actually. In the ancient Eastern traditions, sitting in lotus, where the legs are all bound up, was designed to block off the lower chakras so that you could actually have a lot of attention and energy into the upper chakras. In the Christian traditions, it would be about the body being dirty or lesser than or unclean, and all the impulses of the body being ones that we have to suppress and master in order to fit into this idea of what is a holy person, what is a good person, what is a person that is of God, right? So this would be kind of exactly the opposite. Allowing ourselves to go deeper and deeper into these cells, into these sensations, into the mana that exists in all of our 100 trillion cells, the mana being the energy that exists there, and allowing that to come forward and be a contributing factor to our forward movement in life. Generally, how we identify ourselves in this society, in this modern world, is up here. So my personality, what I know, what I've learned, what I see, what I hear, what I perceive, this is how we define ourselves. And our body we see kind of as a vehicle or a tool to get us where we want to go, to fulfill our agenda of our mind. So the body, we see it as kind of like a car. If we give it enough rest and the right care and the right food and the right exercise, that it will last us for a good long time, us being this agenda here, who we perceive ourselves to be. So what if there was actually, as the ancients believed, what if there was actually consciousness, just like your awake consciousness here now, the part of you that's listening and understanding, what if there was consciousness in your cells, in your knee, and in your feet, and in your fingers, and in your back, And what if that consciousness has been with you all your life and has had a totally different perspective and experience of your life? The view from the bottoms of your feet is very different than the view from your eyes. When something happens to you, to any of us, it happens to our entire body. So if someone was to run into this room right now and jump up and down and scream, "Ah!" tell us all to go to hell, and then run out, we would all have kind of a different response. We'd be shocked. We'd be like, oh my God, what was that? What just happened? I don't know. And then maybe we call that person back and we go, excuse me, so why did you do that? And who are you? And what was your purpose? And so we find out the story and we go, oh yeah, okay, so that was guy down the road and he just like had, just needed an outlet maybe, and something happened and he just felt like he felt really close to share and just felt like he could come in here and scream and yell. So we get some explanation and our minds go, okay, great, okay, I understand. All right, that was weird, but whatever. And we go on through our day, having, an interesting experience of that moment. But that experience, that shock that went through you, that breath that changed, the pattern of your breath that might have changed at that moment, your eyes that might have popped open and been really attentive and might be seeing different colors or something, all that would have happened as well in that moment. So that moment happened to your entire body. In fact, every moment is happening to your entire body. But we process it here and decide that that's what happened. We decide that this is our experience. Actually, our experience is 100 trillion times at least more full and more full of energy and mana than any moment that you can perceive with just your eyes and your mind and your head. So, so the workshop that I was put through and the workshop that I now teach allows us to experience briefly that comprehensive, at least a taste of, let's just say, that comprehensive experience of allowing ourselves to be all of who we are, or at least a lot more of who we are, by bringing in towards us all the parts of our family that we may have neglected all these years, all the parts of our cellular structure that we may have neglected, but also all the parts of the rest of our family, our pain, our hurt, our lost love, our trauma, our bliss that we didn't think it was okay to feel, our anything that has passed through us, but that got stuck somewhere as not call it metabolized, was not metabolized in our system. So that is held energy. To the Christians, or anyone who's into the good, bad, right, and wrong philosophy, the idea, and a lot of Lomi Lomi teachers these days would have had Christian conversion in their lineage, and a lot of different body workers would have this idea that when you lie down on the table, the idea is to take away something, all the bad stuff, and leave the good stuff. And even when we're processing our own emotions and our own life experience, how often do we want to just go to the happy place? And, well, that feels like crap. I'm not going to go over there. So why don't I go and do something like fantastic that I love and just forget about that? The only trouble with that is it's not a bad idea. The only trouble is that if there's anything left in that stuff that is crying out for our attention and that didn't get it, that stuff then becomes kind of stuck. And I like to use the example of a fist. That stuff kind of goes like, I'm holding on because you won't pay any attention to me and I can't let go. So in the idea of taking away all the bad stuff and leaving only the good stuff, one would then assume that we would have to cut off this hand, because here's the bad stuff, and remove it from our being and our bodies. Only trouble is then we don't have one of our hands. So in Kahu's philosophy, what you want to do by bringing all the members of your family in and giving them voice and letting them be free, this energy that is like this can now be like this. And wow, I can now use it to do a myriad of things. So it's about freeing up and bringing towards us the mana of anything that has become atrophied, stuck, held in our system, so that as we move forward, we can move forward with contributing factors in our past experience. So all the things that we thought were bad things that were holding us back can actually be transmuted into forward-moving things. Yeah. So it's a deep process. It's unexplainable. I cannot translate it to you in any way, shape, or form, although I'm trying with these words. It's just to give you an idea of the scope and the depth of it. And it's a transmutation process and a transformational process that has you looking at the deepest parts of yourself that you'd rather believe come from somewhere outside of you. Yeah, so often in the training, bits of ourselves come up in front of our face so profoundly and so strongly that we would rather just not be there. And the part, we all have these things. We have these people in our lives or situations where we go, wow, that's their stuff. And yet we are like, oh, why does it bother me so much? Like, why don't they just stop doing what they're doing? It's that bothering that gives you a clue that it is maybe not their stuff. And if it happens repeatedly, I don't know why. I'm a perfectly wonderful person. I keep running into these just idiots, and I can't figure it out. It's the philosophy here is that it's coming from inside of you. That we are actually, life is pouring out of us. Our life, your life, is pouring out of you. It's not happening to you. It's not a victimology. Life is not happening to you. It's actually pouring out of you. And that's a really empowering idea, because if it's pouring out of me and there's something in my world that is not in harmony, I feel, with my system or my life force or my being, let me go and find the source of that spring, the source of that life, that meeting place that I started by talking about, of your life force and how you're manifesting. Let me see where that is, and how I can change at the source, you being the source of your life, you being actually the source of the entire universe. But maybe we won't get into that today. But if you have questions about it, we can talk about that. It's a big statement to make, and yet I can say it with absolute confidence.
I'd love to hear more
about being the source of the universe. Yeah. So, well, just in a nutshell, kind of as an intellectual exploration of that, if you imagine that every experience is coming to you through your filters, whatever they are, as free or as closed or as narrow or as wide as they are, everything that you experience is coming to you through your filters. You cannot live through anybody else's perspective, even your husband, even your son or your daughter, even people who are super close to you. You cannot experience life from their perspective. So in this cosmology, that puts you at the center. Even with world events and things that are happening, it's coming to you. Everything that's happening is coming to you. You are at the center. And you decide how you navigate that, both on a daily life basis, on a philosophical way of like what's happening with the war in Syria and what do I believe, and navigating that. The philosophy even goes as deep as to, it's a little better experientially, but it does go as deep as to say that if you're perceiving war anywhere in the world, that it's quite probable or possible that there is something inside of you that is at war with yourself, two parts of yourself or more at war with yourself. And just by engaging in that war, we are actually manifesting or encouraging or adding to the energy of war on the planet. We're adding to it, not in a literal sense of guns and killing, but we're adding to that. So if somewhere inside of you there's something doing this, that is a vibration that is affecting, if you believe that we're vibrational beings and affected by each other in more ways than we know, that vibration is not only reverberating throughout your system, but it's reverberating out in waves through the planet. So we are deeply interconnected, and this is the indigenous mind worldview, which is another way I describe the work. It's coming back to indigenous mind. So if you go back far enough in each of our lineages, we will come to an indigenous people. So it's not to say, you know, indigenous mind is here and modern mind is here. It's that we're all at our base point indigenous mind. And it comes down to what's actually true. And the people who live with indigenous mind are more connected with what's actually happening right now. Because in the West and in the modern world, we have a lot of ideas, a lot of teachings, a lot of belief systems that would get in the way or interpret our experience rather than just being here with our experience. And so life changes dramatically as we move more towards what's actually just true right now. Yeah. So even as we talk to each other, and you know, I'm wearing a blue dress, and I know Cher, all these memories of Cher are happening in my mind. My memories of Mark. I see the white; it gives me an idea of something. I see this thing around your neck, and that sparks something. Like this, just on a subconscious level. I might look like somebody you know, or you knew, or you might, you know, just there's lots computing right now. There's lots happening that are based on our past experience. And actually, a lot of that is preventing our full engagement with just what you're hearing and feeling inside your body. So have you noticed sitting here that you're getting hotter? Or have you noticed yourself getting cooler? Have you noticed your mouth drying out of saliva or getting more saliva? Or have you noticed the rhythm of your breath changing? Or have you noticed the sensations under your feet? That's all informing your experience right now. And when we start engaging more of that, not that I have to think about it, but we start engaging more of that, more mana is available to us. More of our own life experience comes in just being here. I don't know if that was clear-ish to you in terms of being the center of your universe. Mm-hmm. And what we can do, I just want to say a little bit more about that. What we can do intellectually is we can put something else in the center of our universe. Even though the truth is we're in the middle of everything. Our life is happening through us or pouring out of us. But we can take our relationship and put it in the middle of this of our universe mentally. We can take our job and put it in the middle of our universe. We can take an illness and put it in the middle of our universe. So that what that means is whatever happens with that thing is going to totally affect me. It's going to make me or break me. Like if my relationship fails, oh my God, that can't happen. If my business fails, that can't happen. I'm going to everything's going to change because of that. When you put you in the center of your universe and you have your business revolving around you, rotating around you, orbiting around you, you have your relationship orbiting around you, which is natural order. Everything is orbiting around us. And we decide how we respond to changes in these different things that are revolving around me. It's a much more efficient place to be. It's much more efficient. So we're not at the mercy of, even the radiation from Fukushima. We're not at the mercy of something happening to us. We are in the center of our universe.
I love that. Am I able to say?
Yeah.
I love that idea of everything revolving around us. It's almost like I really
Resonate.
It stops it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It takes out a lot of conflict in our world. Mm-hmm. And it seems a little bit egocentric, but actually as you go deeper and deeper into the work and into yourself, this self who is at the center of the universe, there's deeper and deeper, what is the center of that? And I have found that to be my connection with the spirit in my body. And the mana, the energy, the spirit that lives in all things. So it becomes not such a, well, it's all about Jody, what was a few years ago, it's all about me. It's not so much that as you find that if it is all about you, your personality is running the show, you're going to have some interesting experiences with these things that are orbiting around you and empowerment or lack of empowerment. But as you go deeper and deeper, finding the center of the center, it's just that resonance then informs this universe. Yeah, so that's cool. Yes?
I just have me thinking about also with that comes a greater responsibility, and that as far as big ego and whatnot, it's kind of offset by that you're now responsible for your own feelings and your own thoughts and your own perceptions and your own emotions.
Absolutely. And being responsible to that center of the center. So a lot of what can happen, is that true, everything you said true, and that idea that we're all here to do something amazing. Just in contacting that, all that starts to ripple out, and then it becomes your responsibility to express that or to go through that path. And then again, we're all hooked up and interconnected, so just like that war that was happening, now there's this that is working in the opposite direction.
It's the ultimate empowerment.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, and the way the course is taught is experiential. So I have to say it is different to understand it and different to walk through it. Because in the walking through, you again come to these places in yourself, because our edges might be pretty wide, but after 22 years, I'm still finding my edges. I don't expect to not find them one day, because we're dealing with infinity. So infinity is kind of ongoing, which makes it really exciting. So whatever's next for you will come right here, and it will be your next doorway to expansion. Yeah. So it's a beautiful group. You all get it totally, which is awesome. And the walking through is very difficult. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done, and I witness people every time, it's like you bashing your head against the wall, that you thought was somebody else's wall. It's yours. So yeah, any other comments or questions? Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. No?
This is about the process of learning how to do Lomi.
Good question. So because Kahu had 9 different lineages in him, Lomi Lomi, this type of Lomi Lomi was one of them. And he kind of has put everything into one motion. So there is a part of the course where people will engage with the body work, and body workers sometimes come to learn the work, and they can totally take it and do it afterwards. People who are just wanting to deepen this relationship with themselves and open up the channels from the body to the mind, the subtler channels that we're not used to, they come and they engage in the whole process, and they may never touch another body in that way again, but the principles open up inside of them. So the Lomi Lomi is actually just a tool in the workshop to bring you into a closer engagement with that is animating you right now. So yes, you do learn Lomi Lomi. No, it's not necessary to be a body worker. or to have any bodywork experience. And it's not primarily about bodywork. It's primarily about foundational mysticism and alchemy that's in your body. My teacher would call it raising your internal speed. And I've come to know that as the speed at which you and your life force are in communion or communication. Once you raise your internal speed and you know actually you've walked through what is here right now in that resonance, and then you put your hands on another human being, the life inside of them recognizes that it's been seen, and it starts coming to the surface too. It starts rising. And that's where the healing happens. It's not me or whoever's doing the body work doing the healing. It's actually that life. So the more and more that we can contact that life in all of our 10 trillion cells and all that spirit in our 10 trillion cells, and then apply it to every moment, but if you want to apply it to body work, that's great, the more potential for healing.
Wow, thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Really explains.
Oh, okay, good. And regarding this particular type of body work, this was done in thousands and thousands of years ago in ancient times. It would have been done for 10 hours, up to 15 days, 24 hours a day, by anywhere from 1 to 5 kahuna working on the body. And it was designed to wake up that we're discussing, cellular intelligence. So you can take this transformation and apply it to others. It's not quite the same as walking through it, but it is an aspect. It was designed to wake up your cellular intelligence and to connect you with your Ohana Nui, or your great family, which I described before was everything outside of you and everything inside of you, your family. And so if you were going to become kahuna, you would have this done. If you were going to become leader of your people, of your tribe, you would have this done. Some children coming of age would also have this done. It's based on an ancient dance called ka'alele'au, which in English is flying. So you learn to fly, which I'll show you. You might have seen it already. And the flying, which is again designed to... The flying has every part of your body moving in the shape of the infinite, in the actual shape of infinity. Your head, your arms, your torso, your hips, your feet, your legs are making the shape of the infinite. So that's part of the alchemy and part of the Hawaiian mysticism of it. And I call it mysticism because I do not know how it works. But as you step into that shape, as you model infinity, that infinity sign in your whole body, I guess your whole body recognizes the resonance of that. And the parts of you that don't resonate with the infinite come up to the surface to be seen immediately. That's almost like being called out. Like supposing there was this whole house was dark and it had been dark for years, and there were squatters or people hiding, you come and you turn on the light, they're all going to be seen. Yeah. So all the parts of ourselves that have been tucked away, they get to come out when that light of the infinite starts moving in you. So it's based on an ancient dance, and the dance is then applied to the body. So what I'll be showing you is part of that dance, and then I'll apply the dance to the body. And so what I ask people to do when they're watching, it might be a little cool. Could we maybe close a couple windows, the lower windows? Thank you.